As a poor man and a rich one observe each other, at first glance the contrast is striking. One goes to work by bus, the other in a BMW. One is dressed in worn out clothes, and the other in a new $5,000 suit. One sees the time on a new Rolex, and the other on his Casio. One lives in a house with a garden, the other on a small, cramped apartment. One drinks beer to forget his problems, and the other a fine scotch. One feels suffocated by the world, and so does the other. They are both slaves, but one has fancier chains. Now, and this is inspired by this image I'm going to put now on the screen. And the first thing I want to say here is that not every rich or poor person are slaves or not, depending on how much money they have. If you think like that right away, you're really in the wrong mindset straight up. Because all across the board, in the scale of wealth from the lowest to the highest end, there are free people and modern day slaves. There are homeless people that have much more freedom than guys earning $100 million per year. Because fundamentally, it is not about how much money you make. Because looking at the first layer of this, of being trapped in a way and feeling like you're trapped, this would be the traditional your parents and society telling you, oh, you have to become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or whatever profession is respectable at the time, because this will give you money and respect on the eyes of society. And then in a few decades from now, you can retire and then you can have your freedom and do the things you want. But that's when you're like 60 something. So if you're 20, 30, beginning your career, you have 30 years ahead of you of slavery, of modern day slavery, if you don't like to do that. And when we look at this, a lot of people can initially think like, oh, okay, so I'm not going to follow what society tells me, my parents, so I'm going to find another job, another way of making money, job or not, to do this. But a lot of times you end up just going from one type of chains to another. Because what happens is that when you're playing a game that is really based on, number one, making money your god and the most valuable thing, on just competing with people on the assets you have and the status that you have, and overall kind of going about your life not enjoying and just looking forward to a point in the future, you are enslaving yourself. Because if you want to look at what defines this or not as a pursuit, all of them, they have different things about them, but one thing they all share, and that is looking forward to a point in the future when you can stop doing it. It's okay, I'm going to do this now, but so then in the future I can enjoy, and then I can retire, and then I can do what I want. Then I can live as a free man. And what this fails to realize, this approach that so many of us have, and it can be about a job, about a business, about a relationship, honestly, about a vice, about anything. And that is that it neglects our fundamental right to choose and puts it in a point in the future that gives all these criteria that it's like, oh, and then I'll be free. But we don't realize is that we are putting these chains on ourselves and they are unlocked. The key, there's not a key needed. They're not locked. You can just open them at any point you want. But a big problem is that, especially how the whole system is set up, and not saying that I have a better option, but that's just the way things are, is you enter school, and for at the very least 12 years of your life, and most people more, you are not free because you have to be there at that time. You have to ask permission to go to the bathroom. You have to get these grades to pass, otherwise you're going to have to stay there longer, and there's punishments if you don't. And so for the development years of your life, you are treated without freedom. And a certain part is understandable because you're not responsible, you're not an adult, so a part of it is understandable. The problem is that a lot of people carry this after they're out of there. And similar to a dog that's been his whole life tied to a chain, or an elephant, any animal, if some time passes, you can then cut the rope. They're not going to test it. They're under the assumption that this is the limit that they can go to. And because they tried in the beginning, and like you perhaps have seen, when you're a teenager, you're younger, you rebel. But if the rope keeps getting pushed, a lot of people are going to give up. And they're just going to, accept that this is the limit. And yes, sometime in the future, when perhaps I have a lot of money and I retire and all this, then I can be free. Then I can go beyond where the chain is, and this chain will disappear and it'll be fine. But what we have to realize is that just because in the past we tested and didn't work doesn't mean that now it's the same. These chains we are putting on ourselves. And worst of all, a lot of people are going about it in a way that they say, like, okay, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of having this. I don't want to live my life because of what society tells me or my parents or my job, and I want to be free. And a lot of times what they will end up do is they do a lot of things, complex methods, and what's it, not visualization, what's it called, like manifestation, and inner work and all of these things, not realizing they're spinning in place in the dirt, lifting up dirt, clouding things even more. And they think that they have to move more and do more things, not realizing that you are spinning in place. Because the solution to it is very simple. It is to realize that you do not have to earn your freedom. You do not have to do anything to be worthy of it. And I'm going to avoid getting too esoterical here and too new agey, but one must realize that these chains you have, you place them on yourself at this point if you're an adult, and you can open them at any point. If you think about it, a lot of people, if you have a job you don't like, but you think, oh, but if I quit now, I'm not going to be safe, and then perhaps I'm going to be homeless, and everyone's going to make fun of me, and life's going to suck. But if you think about, if tomorrow you'd get to your work and your boss would tell you, you know what, your performance hasn't been the best, you're fired. A part of you would be shocked and sad, but tell me, wouldn't a part of you be like, thank God, finally, I'm so tired of this? You would feel free, as if a weight has been taken off your shoulders and now you can live. But what you must realize that as you're waiting for these moments to happen, that I have no doubt that you're waiting for your boss to fire you, for your girlfriend to break up with you because you're tired of this relationship, for your business to fail so you can move on because you know this is not the right path, for all these things to happen, as you're waiting, you fail to realize that you can just do them right now out of your own choice, because you have a choice. And the longer you play these games, the longer you delay, the worse things are going to get, because you are willingly acting as a slave when you are the most free anyone has ever been throughout history. You have the most access to everything, jobs, foods, experiences. You can literally buy a plane ticket right now for less than 500 euros and move across the world. No one throughout history has been able to do that. You can literally, not saying this is going to work or not, create an app with AI and then go and start your business. You can literally do anything you want. You're only limited by your mind. And you can think about like, oh, but I don't have money. I don't have, that's easy to say if you already have knowledge and money and all these things. That's all in your mind. Many people are doing it that are in worse positions than you are. And doing it, think of it whatever you wish. When I say that, it's, and I want to be clear here, I don't say it as this point in the future, because that would defeat the whole thing. It's not, oh, you can quit your job and then you're going to be successful and then you get to that point. No, it is you quit these things and then you can live in the now, in the struggle period, in the building period. You can live free as you want, as a person. But tell me, do you really think that if you just delay things as they are right now, it will get better? It really won't. Realize right now you have a choice. And you have a choice to step away from these games, from trying to get prettier chains, because you would still be a slave regardless, gold chains or not. So please, I beg you, do yourself a favor, wake up and ask yourself, what chains do I need to give up